Hey everyone, in today's video, I want to talk about the three things that have allowed me to drastically improve my musicality and just become an overall better musician. Hey there, my name is Lorenzo Ferrero. If you are new to my channel, I'm a Latin Grammy winning and Grammy nominated saxophonist, composer, and arranger living in LA. And today's video is going to be a little bit different because I don't have my instrument around and I'm traveling. So I wanted to share with you the three secrets that have allowed me to drastically improve my musicality. And I wish somebody would have told me years ago. And the crazy part is that you don't actually need your instrument for most of this. You can actually do a lot of improvement and do a lot of practice without your instrument or without any musical device around you. And this is a crazy misconception that I see on many musicians and students, especially early on, that they believe that they can only improve musically with their instrument. But there's actually so many things that you can do without your instrument that's actually going to contribute to your musicianship in such great ways and powerful ways, to a point that when you actually do get your instrument, your practice will become enhanced and much better and much more effective. And even 30 minutes of practice can become super enhanced because of all the work you've done without your instrument. I always say this to my students, but it's like 60% of my musical development came without my instrument or without any instrument at all, just by all the things that I want to share with you today that I've been doing so much and so often. I wasn't realizing how powerful they were until I grabbed my instrument, and a lot of this musicality just started to show up naturally. So let's get started. Secret number one, expanding your rhythmic vocabulary and active listening. Now, what does that mean? Rhythm is something that nobody talks about, especially when you're a single line instrument or a saxophone player or a horn player. Everybody's showing you scales and playing licks and patterns. And I did it that way. And I started getting obsessed with learning scales and patterns. My solos just sounded like a library and a compilation of phrases. And I did not understand the power of rhythm until way later on when I was studying in Berkeley. And I had this wonderful teacher inside an elective class called Thematic Development for Improvisation and Composition with Rick DiMusi was the name of the teacher. Great saxophone player and a composer. And then he showed us how with only rhythm, you could create this motivic development and you can actually sound a lot more musical. And technically I knew about this, but I never actually implemented to my playing. I just thought about, yeah, rhythm, sure. When I started learning about this and actually implementing it to my playing, my life transformed. Now, here's the thing. How did I boost my rhythmic vocabulary? It was actually without my instrument. I didn't realize the power of this, but I would just walk to Berkeley every day for 4 years, listening to music with my headphones and my old iPod. And I would listen to a lot of big band and just a lot of music that I loved. And I would just sing rhythms. I would be listening and I didn't have any instrument around. I would just listen to phrases and I would instantly sing the rhythms back just because I'm a rhythmical person and I love the rhythms. If you listen to big band, just any contemporary, any modern music, the main element that makes it so particular is always rhythm. You know, rhythm is actually essential in melody. You cannot take them apart. A lot of times we think on melody as something like independent and rhythm as something independent, but without rhythm, melody cannot exist. And when I realized that, it's so powerful. So getting back to my Berkeley story, I would sing rhythms constantly as I was walking to school. And guess what happened when I grabbed my horn later, like a few months after doing this, I would grab my horn and I would be practicing some of the old licks that I would just play all the time. And I found myself transforming the same scales and the same patterns because of all the rhythms that I sang. All of a sudden, instead of just playing the typical ba ba do ba do ba da ba da, I was playing like ba ba boop ba do ba ba da ba boop ba da ba do ba ba. Right? I would just actually be transforming what I've already been playing for a while with rhythms, and all of a sudden it started sounding so much more musical. Not only that, but I was able to create 10, 15 phrases from just that one phrase that I initially transcribed. And before, I used to feel cursed on just playing that phrase on that particular way over that context. But when I started infusing my playing with rhythms, these are rhythms that I would just be singing and they came naturally to my playing. Then all of a sudden, my melodic language and the quality of my phrases expanded so much. So the number one thing that I now recommend to my students is do this. Grab all the music that you love that you've heard 1,000 times. So grab, if it's a solo, a big band track, or like a 70s song, a funk song, just something that is relatively simple to get started. What you're going to do is listen to it and only pay attention to the rhythmic elements of the music. So forget about the notes, forget about the scale. A lot of the jazz school tells you to transcribe, and transcribing is great, but it's kind of useless and pointless if you just transcribe for the sake of transcribing and try to play and imitate the soul. It's like, what do you do with it, right? Then you're cursed on playing it the same way over the same context. And in that same way, it just doesn't make sense to me. I transcribed a few solos when I was starting out, and it just didn't make a lot of sense because they just sounds like, well, I guess I'm going to have to copy some of these phrases. And then I didn't even like the entire solo, right? So I started focusing on transcribing just the phrases that I liked. And even better, focusing on the rhythmic element of what you transcribe. So if you hear a phrase that go, ba ba do ba da ba da ba ba, right? And you like the rhythm, just detach the rhythm. Ba ba do ba do ba ba, right? So I can't show it to you with my instrument right now because I don't have it, but you get the idea. If you just listen to music and only pay attention to the rhythmic elements, forget about the overwhelm of the chords and and the notes, just the rhythm. So if you hear a phrase, it could be from a horn section, it could be from a sax solo, it could be from the piano player, anything that rhythmically seems appealing to you personally, because that's how you're going to train your personalized language, is by you actually curating it by grabbing rhythms that you personally like. We might listen to the same song and grab completely different rhythmic elements from it. So you do that and then just pause when you find a good rhythm, put it back, just that section, listen to it again, and then pause it again, sing it. And sing it like 40, 50 times. A lot of people are just scared about it. Like saxophone players, and I talk to this with my students, they seem a little scared. Like they feel weird by singing. That's like, man, just like sing this like 40 times. Not one, not twice. A lot of people would just sing it like, oh, ba, ba, do, ba, da, ba, do, ba, ba, and then try to play. No, don't play at all. Sing this enough times that you're like, ba, ba, do, ba, da, ba, do, ba, ba, ba. Da, ba, do, ba, da, ba, do, ba, ba. If it's a medium swing, for instance, right now, repeat it, sing it until you get to that point where you stop thinking about the rhythm at all. I always tell, if you want to know when that point comes, try to keep singing the rhythm and then do something else, like read something else as you're singing it, because then you're going to realize how the rhythm is internalized. Because the thing is, rhythms cannot be mechanized, the same as chords and scales. They need to be internalized. And then rinse and repeat, and do this very often, every day. You can even pick a specific style for a week. It's like, I'm just going to do medium swing rhythms. And then I always tell my students, and in my course, I talk about having a written notebook. If you're new to this, just have maybe a place where you can register and write rhythms. It could be a Sibelius MuseScore file or just by hand, just so you can register all the rhythms that you're singing and listening and absorbing, so that you can come back to them. Now, eventually you won't need this because you're going to internalize so many rhythms that what happened to me was they're just coming out. You start improvising rhythms. Okay, that's such a powerful thing that nobody taught me about. When you have a good rhythmic language, when you're able to like either put a metronome or a play along, the same play alongs or songs that you play, right, with your instrument, but you're going to be vocally improvising rhythms only, right? And you got to have a fluency for like 5 minutes, like the same fluency you would want when you improvise, but you don't have notes and you don't even have to worry about the harmonic context. How does that work? You just put the track, let's say it's like a medium swing, and you just sing and improvise rhythms. Ba 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 do ba do ba do ba 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 da ba da ba do ba ba da ba da ba ba do ba 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 do ba do ba 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 do ba da do ba 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 boo ba da ba da do boo ba, right? I'm not really worrying about the context or well, I am thinking on medium swing in this case, but I don't care about the chords. I don't care about anything other than the rhythmic accuracy and the rhythmic language. Now, all those rhythms are just a process of me internalizing a lot of other rhythms, and I'm just feeling it. And that's what I want you to get when you do this. Just start singing rhythm so much, you become a rhythmical person and you're feeling it in your body. Then you can actually grab your instrument. And I do show you on my step-by-step system course how to actually implement. Now you work on implementation, but you don't work on implementation if you've never sang rhythms. Do the singing first. Do it for a month. Just sing rhythms and become a rhythmical person to the point where you're moving and grooving as you sing. Ba ba da ba 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 da ba da ba. You need to groove to your own rhythmical singing. right? You need to feel it, really internalize, absorb those rhythms, jam with it. The same way you grab your instrument and do jam. And if you feel like you're ever mumbling and just playing phrases all over the place that do not sound musical, well, I have news for you. It really comes from rhythm. It starts with rhythm. It's you're not thinking on rhythm and you're just mumbling or playing things like sounding like that happened to me so much before I integrated rhythmic language to my playing. I just sounded like I'm mumbling your phrases, right? If you feel like your phrases are just all over the place and maybe they're inaccurate, is because of your lack of rhythmic language. And don't feel bad about it. It's just you've never done this particular thing. And I recommend you do it because it's going to transform the way you play. So actively listen to rhythms, listen to music, absorb rhythms, sing them many, many, many times. Then the next day, do the same. Do a new song every day and absorb rhythms, sing them. If you can, write them down. And then maybe after a few weeks of just doing that, then you can, when you do grab your horn, I do have a method where you can implement. You sing one rhythm at a time, you grab a simple scale like a C major scale, and you see how many phrases you can create using just that limitation of the 7 notes and that particular rhythm. And you're going to be amazed at how all of a sudden that little scale you knew for years, now you can produce phrases with it. And then you start translating rhythms to everything. I take rhythm, it's like my partner in crime. So whatever I do musically, I always make sure to transform the rhythm, be really accurate with the rhythms. Whatever I do, rhythm is my guide to make it sound more musical and just a lot better and more meaningful. Number 2, one of my favorite things, narrow focus, expand depth. That has transformed the way I practice music. What do I mean by that? A lot of the time we want to practice so many things, 20, 25 things in the same practice session. What we actually need to do is to narrow the focus or narrow the subject to just one chord or maybe 2 chords. We want to play over entire chord progressions, but we cannot master 2 chords, right? We want to learn all of the scales, but we never took the time to play masterfully over just one simple scale by using effective rhythms. We want to master all the scales there are, but we've never taken the time to just grab one scale and make it sound musical and create hundreds of phrases with that one scale. So when you narrow the subject, all of a sudden you take away all this noise, all this overwhelm, and you focus on just 1 or 2 or 3 things maximum for as long as 1 or 2 weeks. So what I do in my course is like, for example, 1 chord a week or 2 chords a week. So there's like this rule in success, and to actually be way more efficient, to instead of add more things to your practice, take away things from your practice and just focus on a few things. You can focus on sound, articulation, and then the only thing and your only task for a week could just be trying to play musical phrases with a C major scale with shapes and rhythms. And you would do 1 rhythm, 1 scale one day. The next day you can do the same rhythm and another scale. Then you can start doing a 2nd rhythm, then a 3rd rhythm. And all of a sudden you're creating hundreds of phrases with just that simple scale you've known all your life, but you never sounded musical with. I always ask my students, can you play with a C major scale and improvise and actually sound musical and create good phrases? And most of them can't. And they are there trying to play, entire tunes and giant steps and trying to play over autumn leaves, which is a relatively easy one, but they cannot play over 2 chords properly. You see the problem there. And I realized this problem because honestly, my mind, I can't focus on too many things at the same time. So when I was practicing, I got overwhelmed. I was like, well, if I want to practice over an entire tune, I can't do it. So how about I just do 2 chords? And actually, this came from my piano playing, not even from saxophone player. I wanted to play the chords of a tune, and I couldn't. There were too many. So it's like, how about I just stick with the first 2 chords, or just any 2 chords, like, I don't know, 1 and 4, maybe C major 7, F major 7. And for 2 hours, my only musical world will be those 2 chords. I won't have to worry about anything else. I will just work on connecting them on all sorts of ways. And guess what happened? By the end of that session, I got so much better at it just because I narrowed the focus to just one thing and I expanded the depth. And now I was connecting C and F like never before in my life. I actually improved more in a week than in a month before, just because of narrowing the topic subject or narrowing the focus. That truly became the core concept of my system because I got so much better at it. And then what happened is, okay, the next week I'm going to do another 2 chords and then maybe 4. And then the better I get at it, I'll include a few more things, but I'll just stick with like 4 chord loops, 2 chords, and I'll internalize how they sound. And now I'm going to actually play the saxophone that way. I'm going to put all the inversions of those two chords and really, I'm going to read them and I'm going to explore the hell out of them, exploit the resource before you move on to the next thing. Usually in jazz, I see the students want to learn the new topic, the new thing, right? But their rhythmic language isn't existent. They can't make what they know sound good. Then it's like, why do you want to learn anything good? Think about speech. I compare music and improvisation with speech. When you talk, you're not, first of all, you're not speaking memorized sentences. That would sound very weird, right? Like people playing memorized patterns. Then you don't worry about learning a more sophisticated word if you can't make good sentences with basic words. Think of a 3 or 4 year old child. They have a limited vocabulary, but they will find always any ways to actually say 100 and more sentences with the limiting words that they have. And that's what I tell my students, like grab a C major, an F major scale, a C major 7 chord, a C and F major if you want to do 2 chords, whatever, like something simple, and exploit it, really exploit it and create phrases by using rhythms and shapes before you moving to the next thing. What ends up happening every single time is my students are absolutely impressed. First of all, by all the sounds that are actually in there that they're unlocking, because a lot of these resources sound beautiful. They're hundreds of phrases packed inside chords and inside the scale, but they never learned how to improvise using those. So it's like they just keep learning the more, I want to learn the diminished scale. It's like, well, can you play effectively with the major one? Why do you want to learn the diminished scale? I'd rather hear a solo that has a relatively simple language, but very effective and good rhythmic vocabulary that actually speaks. Rhythm really speaks to you, right? Rather than a mumbling of notes and trying to, play all of these advanced things. Believe me, I wasn't that bold. I wanted to play more sophisticated. And today, every day I practice rhythmic language and how can I be more musical with what I already know, because that's a cool thing. Even with everything I know, I can make all of that more musical every time. And I actually rather work on that than just keep working on learning new things. I still do that. What I'm saying is learn how to make what you know a lot more musical first. So let's say you have this level with an expanded rhythmic language and these practices that I'm talking about, you can actually expand that. And then you can start moving on. Okay, now I'm going to learn the next thing, but take rhythm with you. Just not always integrate rhythm. Speak the language, right? When you learn new words, you have to learn how to use them in sentences, right? You can't and rhythm and shapes. Rhythm is a how on music. So doesn't matter how many words, which would be like chords and scales and stuff like that. Doesn't matter how many you learn. If you don't have a good rhythmic language, none of that will sound good. It took me so long to realize that. I wish somebody would have gone back. I would have gone back and just, told this to myself when I was starting up. I remember playing Now's the Time on the tenor sax, playing the blues scale, the only thing I knew how to play. And I was just but it's like, hey man, sing this very simple rhythm over the entire blues. Ba, 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 do, ba, do, ba, ba. Whatever the rhythm would be, right? And then now just grab the scale and mess around with it, but with that rhythm. When you use rhythm as your connected device, it makes everything sound musical. Imagine speaking and having no context and having if you hear a person talking and it's just never stopping, like talking like this. And then maybe they say something important, but they keep talking. It's like you miss it, right? Rhythm will actually make you be very accurate and pause and create musical statements, not just mumbling of notes and resources, but statements that sound good with rhythms and shapes, which is what I teach on my actual course and my system and community. Okay, my step-by-step framework on how to do this properly. But that is the thing. From now on, I would recommend just narrow the topic. Don't do too many things. Just do 2 chords for 2 weeks, right? And you can actually do technique. You can improvise. For example, if you grab a scale or 2 chords, you could be improvising shapes and actually create your own little technical exercises. You don't even need to read them from a book. What I'm saying here is there's a musical way to practice improvisation, and this is it. Exploit one resource. And by the end of 2 weeks, you're going to be able to create all of these new, beautiful phrases just using the C major scale, for example, or 2 chords, and you're going to be so much more confident. Wow, man, I had no idea I could be so musical with this, which is going to inspire you for the next thing. And then on the next thing, you do the same. In this way, you're going to skyrocket your playing. Okay, third, but not least, one of the more important ones, especially once you start improving and getting to a good level, is to actually take the time to curate your own language. And, I compare it again to speech. And this is what great speakers do. They figure out how they want to speak. It's not just what they speak. They actually work on the tone of their voice, on their rhythm, on how they actually, sometimes they talk slower for more important things, or maybe just speak a little faster for intensity. They have mastered this. It's not just about the words. So the concept in music is to curate your own phrases. Take the time to sit down and write your own phrases and write your own melodies and write your own exercises. And I say this because you're going to be able to figure out all of these things that you can't figure out on the spot when you're playing. But you don't need to do this with your instrument. You can totally grab a Sibelius file, do this written out, and just, for example, write one phrase that you like and then see how you can make variations of that phrase. Like, really look at it and be like, oh, I can add a chromatic approach here. Oh, I can add this. Oh, I like the sound of this. You have to do this in order to curate your own personalized language. Then when you do play, you can either play what you wrote, but then this is all going to be integrated to your playing little by little. You don't have to worry about it, right? It's like when you are practicing new sentences and new words, you're trying to speak in a way that you're using the resources in a natural way. So you practice that and you practice that. And even with new sophisticated words, you will be practicing sentences and see, oh, how can I use this word here? Okay, I'm going to grab it and use it. But there's a consciousness, there's a rhythm, there's a how to how you say things. It's the same thing. When you're improvising, it's the same as when you're speaking, right? Even right now, I knew what I was going to talk about, but I'm improvising this video just because I just thought about the three elements that changed my, playing and my music life. And I wanted to share with you, but I'm not thinking about the exact memorized words I'm going to say. I'm improvising, right? But I'm using all the resources I know, and I'm using a rhythm, and I'm using, shapes and rhythms to speak, to convey this in the best way possible for you. Makes sense? The same with curating your own language. Grab the rhythms that you've already transcribed, create phrases, try to actually see how do you want to sound. I memorized so many licks and phrases from everything I transcribed, but I didn't know how to sound like myself. I would just sound like a compilation of phrases. So take the time, curate your language, wait for, getting a little more advanced for that. So work on the rhythms first, work on like narrowing the subject, expanding depth. But then later on, when you actually, okay, how do I want to sound like myself? I've been able to curate my own language where I play and people are, oh, that's a great lick. Like, where do you get it from? Well, sitting down and figuring it out, like grabbing simple chords and then connecting them with chromatic approach. If you do that the same way, you can't just speak and never write. When you prepare a speech, you might actually get away from what you prepared. And this is the same thing. When I prepare a little solo, it's just ideas. Then I would go and do my own stuff, but those will give you amazing ideas for your performance. Hopefully this makes sense. These are the three things that have transformed my musicality. And the third one, to a more advanced level, is what really has made me expand my own personal language. Not just be a great sax player, but be a great musician that sounds like you. You could even sound better with less technique than someone else, but you sound more like you, and that's worth a lot more. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video, and sorry for some of the noise. I'm just outdoors here, but I wanted to keep my commitment of doing a video every Tuesday. So I thought I shared these amazing tips with you, and I'll be back on schedule next week for some more amazing Tuesday tutorial. So please leave in the comments what you want to hear next, what kind of topics, what things you struggle. Leave in the comments as well if you enjoyed this video, and if it was helpful. I really appreciate that. And please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. I post a video like this, a tutorial every single Tuesday, and some other videos on other days as well. So thank you so much for listening. And if you like this and you really want to take your playing and your improvisation skills to the next level, I want to invite you to something amazing I've been building for the past month and a half, which is my amazing exclusive private improvisation community. It's called the Improv Mastery Circle. Is a place where it started as an online course where I kept my entire system, but people started like getting so much out of it and engaging, and I started getting feedback. Now it has become this exclusive community where you actually get access to me. You can ask questions, and you can get direct feedback from me. You can post. You have a community of over 90 members now, and it's going to keep growing. By the time I'm filming this video, we're about 90 members, 90. So it's going to be growing more on future videos. So you can see people are posting their progress. I'm honestly so happy and getting so encouraged of doing this because I see now the effect that this is having on people. We have from high school kids to retired people that are sharing their progress and are actually getting back to music and in such beautiful ways and applying my system, my step-by-step system. And I see them getting better every single day. It's making me truly happy. So if you're looking for something to really help you transform your playing, but not just a course, a system and a community so that you can actually engage and not do this by yourself, then this will be an amazing experience for you. And I can guarantee that. I left a link in the description with more information and a special link for you to enroll with a very special offer on my community. Be a part of it. You'll get access to my full system. And if you do the annual version, you'll also actually get strategy sessions with me as well. So this is truly something I don't usually do, but I'm seeing such amazing results from my students that I want to do that now. So if you're watching this right now, it means that this is now available and you'll get private strategy sessions with me if you enroll. So just go check it out on the link below. You're going to see some of the student success stories and results. And if you really want to take your playing and improvisation skills to the next level, this might be just what you need. All right. Leave your comments below and thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video.